Today we're going to make some gluten-free hot cross buns, but these are going to be based on winter squash. Now the winter squash was grown last summer and we simply pick it and put it on a shelf, and we don't scrub them when we pick them, so they can be a little bit dirty. So the first thing we've got to do is actually to scrub the squash to get them clean. So we're just removing any soil that's still on the surface. This is a good size one. Right. That's it. Now, I want about half of this squash. They're quite tough, and you want a very thin knife to cut them. If you have a thicker knife, you'll find they're almost impossible to cut. Right, now this one has got quite a lot of seeds in the middle and not so much flesh, so not the best quality. The best quality, smaller seeds, more flesh, deeper colour. But for baking, this is fine. Right, we're going to scoop out the seeds, and the good quality ones we'd keep the seeds to sow next year. Right, and then we're going to slice this squash into a number of slices. More, I think. Right, so this is ready, and we're going to steam this. So we steam the squash, and I usually put this in a steamer for 30 to 40 minutes until it's cooked. So here's one I steamed earlier. Let's move that one out of the way. The steamed squash comes out like this, and we should be able just to peel the skin off. Don't worry too much if it doesn't come off properly, totally. The odd bit of skin in our buns won't matter that much. Sometimes you find they don't peel well at all. And I'm going to use a liquidizer, so if we just see if we can peel these. Maybe I should have peeled these earlier as well. Sometimes they peel, oh, that's better. Sometimes they peel, sometimes they don't. Any hard bits as well, cut out. It's almost impossible to peel them until they've been steamed. Skins are very hard, and you can waste quite a lot. Now there's a little bit of the hard, but it's just coming off, so we'll remove that. How are we doing? That's peeled. That's peeled. One more piece. Right. So that's our steamed squash. Let me just clean some of that off my fingers. Right, so just liquidise this a bit. It's not breaking down as much as we will need it. Now, I've got 6, these are organic eggs, and I'm going to break them individually just to be sure that each one is fresh. So I'm just checking each egg. Yeah, that one's beautiful. They should be fresh. Yeah, that one's good. Got 6 eggs here. Yeah. Usually they're fine, but just to be on the safe side, I don't want to find we've got an old one and put it in with all the other ingredients. Yep, looking good. Right, number 6. Yeah, these are all large eggs, which we actually get at a reduced price from the organic farm because they're too big to fit their egg boxes. And again, we will liquidise that. Now, the main ingredient is rice flour. We could use a gluten-free bread flour, such as the white bread flour from Dove's Farm, but what we're going to use is rice flour, and we want 250 mils, which is 1 cup of rice flour. Let's just, and I might need to go and get a second packet. Okay. Oh, it's just the right amount. Yeah, just the right amount. So 1 cup of rice flour. And we'll just beat that in. We want 1/3 cup of tapioca flour. Now, the gluten-free flour already has some tapioca flour in it, but because we're using pure rice flour, we're going to add tapioca flour. So we want 1/3 cup of tapioca flour. So there we have 1/3 cup. And we want 1/4 cup of sticky rice flour. Now, the sticky rice flour is what really makes this a succulent bun. If you don't put the sticky rice flour in, what you have is a lot drier. The sticky rice flour is really what substitutes for the gluten in a non-gluten-free cooking. So 1/4 of a cup of sticky rice flour. And you can see that we're using clothes pegs to seal our bags. Right, so we beat that in. And we'll just scrape off any flour that's sticking to the sides to make sure it goes into the mixture as well. Now that's our batter ready made. So we've got the squash, the eggs and our flour mixture. Now what we're going to do now is leave that to stand for about an hour. While it's standing, the flour absorbs the moisture from the eggs and that makes it a much more succulent bun. So we'll come back in an hour and we'll add our flavouring and our raising agent. We're not using yeast to raise these. We're using a baking powder, but the baking powder doesn't go in yet. We wait until we've stood this for an hour and then we add our flavouring and our raising agent and we'll put the mixture to cook after that time. So, back in an hour. Right, I'm just chopping up some crystallized ginger. That's right. This has now been left to stand for an hour and the flour has absorbed a lot of the moisture. So now it's time to add the remaining ingredients and flavourings. One of the essential ingredients for our Easter buns are sultanas, and the quantity you put in is very much down to the taste that you want. So if you like a lot, put in a lot. If you like a few, put in a few. And I like some chopped ginger, so put in chopped ginger as well. And just mix that in. Now the flavouring of Easter buns comes from a number of spices, and one of these is mixed spice. And again, the flavouring is very much how much flavour do you want. But the spices are quite strong, so I wouldn't put in too much. So that's going to be enough for us. Nutmeg, you can either grate in the whole nutmegs. They're very hard, and also remember that nutmeg can be poisonous in quantity, so you don't want a lot. You just want a little bit for the flavour. I'm using some nutmeg that's already ground. So just a little bit, just for flavour. Not a lot. And a bit of cinnamon. Again, how much flavour do you want? There we go. we're going to bake these in the oven, and I've got some of these baking trays, and we want to put a little bit of oil in each one. So it's not a lot of oil, just a little, just a few drops in each. It's probably going to be too much, but you need a steady hand to put it in. And then I just, I think many people will use a brush, but you can use a clean finger. It's going to be sterilised. Just wipe it round the side so the side of the tray is also coated. Use the cooking oil that you like. I use rapeseed oil, or also known as canola oil. So those trays are now ready. Right, mustn't forget the raising agent, hiding there. So, raising agent, I'm going to use a gluten-free baking powder, 1 teaspoon, a heaped teaspoon I think, and mix that in. So that's the last thing that goes in. So, now I'm going to put some mixture in each of the trays. About 3/4 full. Don't want them overflowing at this stage. I've got the oven heating up, so these are going to go into a hot oven. Some people would heat the trays as well, so that you'd be putting this mixture into the hot trays, but I think this is fine. So it's about 1/3 of a cup going into each one. There we go. And so that's one tray ready for the oven. Let's put that straight away in. Now into the remaining mixture I'm going to add some cocoa. So I like mine with a touch of chocolate flavour as well. So a little bit of cocoa powder. So I think 2 heaped spoons like that's probably going to be about right. Again, mix that into the batter that's ready. I'll just take down any batter that's gone up the side. Make sure that's mixed in as well. Right, here's our next tray, and again a little bit of oil in each one. The oil stops it sticking. We're not adding any oil to our batter mixture, so the amount of oil that we're actually using is quite small. Many recipes will add the oil in, but I like it just in the tray, and again just with your clean finger wipe it round so the sides are coated as well. That should come out of the tray once it's cooked quite easily, and it'll also give a brown texture to the outside. Right, now let's just right. So the cocoa's just thickened it up a bit. That's fine. And because I've still got some of the mixture in this container, it'll give a slightly stripy appearance. I think I'll just put a little bit more into that one. I don't think that was enough. Right, so that's ready for the hot oven. Now, there's still more batter in here, but let's just clean it off the ladle that we're using. This is the fiddly bit when you're using a liquidizer, because you've got the blade covered in batter. You now need just to clean it off the blade back into the container. So we'll just do that next. Right, that's clean off there. Now, I've got one more tray, just a plain tray, and again I'm going to put a bit of oil in there and just make sure that it's coated in oil. And again, that's good. And this time I'm going to use my spoon, and I'm going to just put dollops in with the spoon. So if you haven't got trays with the dimples in, then you can just use a plain tray like this, and they will tend to keep their shape as they cook, but they won't be as perfectly round as the others. And now we need just a spatula to clean out the rest and put into the tray. So we don't want to waste it. I wipe it on there first and then wipe it off into the tray. There we go. Just a little bit more. And again, just making sure I get every last little bit. There's no point in wasting it, because this is going to taste very nice indeed. There we go. Right, I don't think I can get much more out of that. There we go. And that can go in the oven. Right, well I think we used all our ingredients. I don't think we forgot anything. That can go and be washed. That can go in the oven. And here are our cooked buns. They don't take very long to cook, so do keep an eye on them And the timing, well, it depends on the temperature of your oven, and it does depend on whether you've used big buns or small buns, so keep an eye on them, test them, and make sure you don't let them burn, and enjoy them. Right, there we go, one bun, and there you can see it has a soft texture, quite open texture, and let's try one of these as well. Again, you can see the chocolate bun has a soft texture, risen nicely. That looks very tasty. I'm going to eat those.
I tried it.